beg, on this side now.
It's yet another weekend here in the garden city of Port Harcourt. Welcome to another exciting edition of Sport Extraordinary right here on Atlantic Television Network. My name is Emmanuel Michael. Glad to be here this evening to bring you up to speed with the latest gist in the world of sports. And a talking point on the show this evening will be about the crisis currently rocking the Nigerian Basketball Federation. And it is a big weekend because Liverpool will clash against Manchester City in a battle of supremacy in the English Premier League, plus many other big stories in the world of sports. And I say to come your way this evening. But we do this when I'm back from this short break. I will get to introduce my guests, and then we'll get to roll this evening. Don't go anywhere because we're back in a jiffy. All right, you're welcome back here from that short break. Kingsley joins me here in the building this evening as we take a look at some of these interesting stories for you in the world of sports. Kingsley, good evening and welcome to Sport Extraordinary.
Yeah, Mike, thanks very much for having me. It is another exciting weekend in the beautiful world of sports, and I tell you, it promises to be another exciting one. We'll expect to see dramas, especially in the top 5 leagues, in Europe. But nice to be here, Mike.
All right, before we head to talk about the top 5 leagues in Europe, let's talk about the crisis currently rocking the Basketball Federation, as the Nigerian Basketball Administration has been plunged into uncertainty after Congress members of the Nigerian Basketball Federation petitioned the International Basketball Federation seeking formal approval for fresh elections and accusing the board of illegality, rather illegally remaining in office beyond its constitutional tenure. In the petition signed by Maxwell Kumuye on behalf of the Nigerian basketball stakeholders, the Congress members warned against allowing what they described as beneficiaries of illegality to profit from the crisis, invoking provisions of the Nigerian Basketball Federation Constitution, which recognizes FIBA as the supreme authority for global basketball. The Congress members have asked the world governing body to intervene. They further requested that the FIBA authorize the National Sport Commission and the Nigerian Olympic Committee to conduct a fresh election for 2026 to 2030 board members using the 2019 Constitution as basis. Kingsley, has been a whole lot of controversies and leadership tussle plaguing the Nigerian Basketball Federation a few years right now, and it seems unabated because the crisis continues. Where do we go from here?
Mike, I think it's a terrible one. I tell you, really a disturbing issue that up to this moment, we're still having issue when it has to do with basketball, in the country. It's really a disappointing one. I thought by this time we would have possibly resolved this issue and see how to take basketball to another level. And you take a look at all of this crisis that's happening at the moment. All right, it's really affecting the basketball league down here in Nigeria. You take a look at it, the league has not been really, of course, active. We've been seeing an abridged league format for some time now, and at the end of the day you ask yourself, would the abridged league help us to produce a worthy champion at the end of the day? These are things, of course, we look out for. I take a look at the national team. The Tigers have been suffering because of all of this crisis that have been happening. Thank God for Rena Wakama, who has, of course, been able to put up things with the Tigers of Nigeria. If not, it would have been a very disappointing one from what we've seen so far. So for me, I think the issue at this point in time, yes, is a leadership issue. I'm thinking a National Sport Commission, of course, to try and most kind of course to win. We understand it might be like a government interference, of course, maybe in sport, but I think there's also a way they can come in and try, of course, to resolve this particular issue. For Musa Kida, I think it's time for him maybe to throw the baton. Throw the baton to another person. You've been there for a very long time, all right? You've led, all right? We'll see your impact. There's been several occasions where he comes out to talk about the fact that yes, sometimes he uses his own to sponsor some of the national teams, to go out for competition. You've done well, all right? So I think you've been there for a very long time. It's then time for you to step aside. Let's see what another person brings to the table, at the end of the day. So when you say you want to continue, you want to elongate your tenure, and all of that, I don't think other persons that also have interest for that same position will be very happy. And at the end of the day, you see clash, you see, crisis, coming up at the end. And the thing is, this same Musa Kida has been appointed, has been given a very huge appointment. All right, and you can't be doing two things as well at the same time. This is another issue at this point in time. How will you be able to concentrate? So for me, I think at this point, maybe FIBA should come in and try to see how to resolve, this particular issue. Just like we read there, they've written to FIBA to come in and try to see if they can put up a fresh election and see if they can, of course, get a worthy winner, you know, at the end. The last time the election was held, you know, we saw a factional election, you know, election in two sides, and at the end of the day, Musa Kida was still reaffirmed. But it was a very huge battle between Musa Kida and Iguchi Mark, you know, as at that time. But at the end of the day, Musa Kida, of course, still was still giving the go-ahead, you know, at the end. Now, you've led, it's been a long time. It's then time for another person to also try. I think for me, I don't know what is really in there, what is really in that seat, talking about being the president of the Nigerian Basketball Federation, that it looks so hard for, you know, someone to leave. I don't know, that's the thing. So for me, I think FIBA should come in at this point in time, because it's really getting out of hand. The National Sport Commission cannot, you know, I don't know what they're doing, if they even try to see how to put up things, and this issue is still getting. I think at this point in time, coming, maybe probably we might see, you know, the crisis in the Nigerian Basketball League. Of course, you know, maybe we might see, maybe that will of course be the end of the crisis, because it's not really helping basketball down here in Nigeria.
All right, a very big, you know, trouble in terms of basketball right here in the country. Now, my worry here and fear is, now that some of the members that are grieved, executive member of the board that are grieved about the fact that this same Musa Kida and his, you know, close allies have refused to leave office when their tenure has expired. Now, as they took this petition to FIBA, the, you know, highest arbiter of a basketball globally, don't you think that it will somehow, you know, lead to the Nigerian Basketball Federation being banned, because they are running against the constitution which governs the game? Now, the constitution states that it is 4-year tenure. Now, Musa Kida has been there for 8 good years, since 2017. His first tenure came to elapse, and next election was conducted. It was so controversial, but at the end of it all, he was still declared the winner. Another 4 years has elapsed, you know, going to 8 months after 4 years has elapsed. That is, you have served 8 good years, all right, and still staying there for extra 8 good months. Now, if FIBA come to, you know, look into this thing and take a look at the constitution which governs the Nigerian Basketball Federation, which actually the current president has run afoul, don't you think that it will lead to, you know, we being banned again?
I don't think FIBA will want to, you know, maybe throw the hammer on the Nigerian Basketball Federation at this point in time. I think FIBA might want to do so if there is, you know, government interference, you know, at this point in time. But since the members of the federation, of course, they decided to write to FIBA, I think what they actually want is at this point in time, and I think what FIBA will do is to come, you know, to bring normalcy. Let's work according to the constitution. If this is the constitution, let's work according to the constitution. There's no need of you trying to change the constitution to say, oh, it is then time we have to change this because you know that it will benefit you, you know, at the end of the day. So for me, I think FIBA will want to maybe bring the constitution to the table and let what is supposed to be done be done, you know, at this point in time. I don't think, you know, FIBA might want to come up, you know, with that, you know, sanction, or maybe putting up a ban, you know, to the Nigerian Basketball Federation. At this point in time, we shouldn't expect much crisis. We shouldn't maybe look forward to see something very bad, you know, happen to the federation. I think what FIBA will want to come and do is to bring normalcy, put out modalities, you know, for fresh election, of course, to be conducted, in as much as, you know, the duration of Musa Kida has expired. There have to be a fresh election. That's why I said it's really disturbing. Maybe the likes of Shehu Diko and Olopade are just trying to put themselves away so that it doesn't look like there's government interference, you know, in all of this. Because you ask me, why is that silent? Why is that quiet? All right. Is it that they are under the back? Is it that they are supporting Kida, you know, in what he's doing, or what is happening? Because they too have been silent. And
that is another question that, you know, was just ringing through my mind. The National Sport Commission, don't forget, they are the one that distribute, you know, funds to the different sporting federation. They are more like, you know, the father, you know, that nurtures all the federations. And what they say or the action that they take against any of these federations should stand as valid because they are like the father of the federating unit of all these sports. But the way the matter is going, 3 weeks ago, the National Sport Commission called a meeting, a roundtable meeting to bring all these warring factions together. And at the end of it all, they reached out, a compromise to actually collapse their different interests and work for the betterment of, the federation. But less than a week after that agreement was reached, Musa Kida and his co failed to honor the agreement that was reached in that meeting that was called by the National Sport Commission. At that point, I think that is where the National Sport Commission should come in to compel him to either step aside or conduct a fresh election. But then they are keeping quiet, more like that. Are they working in cahoots with, the Musa Kida-led faction?
I don't know what really, of course, is the problem. Maybe they are also trying to avoid, the issue of government interference in the federation, in the business of for the basketball, federation, right here. Because if FIBA, come to the realization that, the Nigeria, the National Sport Commission are interfering, that might even prompt a ban, from FIBA. So they are just trying to be careful with the situation to make sure that it doesn't come to a point whereby, FIBA will want to say, oh, there is a government interference. Because even the Musa Kida can just stand up and say, oh, Sheikh Diko, you are disturbing us in this federation, and write to FIBA and say there's government interference, just to make sure everything go bad. So that everybody will just go home and but the ban will, the federation will be banned, and all of that. So I think Sheikh Diko, they are also trying to see how to be very careful with the whole thing, to make sure it doesn't get to that stage where there will be government interference. But you ask yourself, why is Musa Kida so respected? What kind of influence does he really have? Because the constitution is there. You've been there for a very long time. It's time for you to step aside for another person to be there. But you insist that you have to be there, and it looks as if nobody can, take over or whatever. So it is really, really disturbing. So there is something wrong somewhere. Something is definitely wrong somewhere, because the influence Musa Kida is really having in the Nigeria Basketball Federation is too much. Nobody can talk to him. Nobody can maybe get close or probably try to do something different at this point in time. So it's really, really disturbing. We just hope that maybe FIBA will be the right people. For me, I think it's a good step in the right direction for those who have written to FIBA to come in at this point, because it stands now, the National Sport Commission do not really have that power to intervene, because if they do, it will look like government interference. So the best now is to write to FIBA, and I just pray that FIBA weigh into this, all right, and try to resolve the issue. But first thing first, is embarrassing that you're taking your matter, outside FIBA to come and resolve, and all of that. And of course, you start to let FIBA will start looking at Nigerian Basketball Federation as, what are they really doing there? They are not organized. They are coming for bringing their issues, outside, and all of that. So for me, let it has happened. It has happened. The petition has been written. We'll just wait to hear from FIBA and see how this one, of course, will go down.
All right, we'll see how all of this in-house tussle and power play within the Nigerian Basketball Federation will go. We hope that it ends, very soon, so that at least we can chart a course forward for the betterment and improvement of the game back here. But at this point, we'll take a quick break here. When we are back in the second half, we'll dive straight to the world of football. Don't go anywhere. All right, you're welcome back from that short break. Still onto Atlantic Television Network, and this is Sport Extraordinary, where we talk the extraordinary things happening in the world of sport. We brought you a disturbing stories about the crisis currently rocking the Nigerian Basketball Federation, and we hope that one of these days will certainly bring some of the stakeholders, to bear their minds on this particular disturbing story about the Nigerian Basketball Federation. Time for me to talk football on the show because the Nigerian Football Federation has commenced moves to open a discussion with Super Eagles head coach Eric Chell over a possible contract extension. The development follows a reported approval from the National Sport Commission, clearing the way for negotiations between the Federation and the coach. Chair, who assumed the leadership of the Nigerian Super Eagles in 2025, has previously indicated his desire to continue in the role as the head coach of the Super Eagles. He has openly expressed his deep affection for Nigerian football, noting that the admiration for the national team date back in the 90s, when he first developed a passion for the Super Eagles. Kingsley, a channel of communication soon to be open for contract extension for Eric Chell. Long overdue, you want to say?
Long overdue for me. I think it's something that the Nigerian Football Federation, right, should of course have done, after that African Cup of Nations, because if you take a look at it, Eric Chell has done his best, for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. First of all, he has brought, stability to the side. We've seen the Super Eagles of Nigeria play with a lot of confidence. This time around, we see a team that has vision whenever they tend to face any opponents. They have that, high mentality of getting the job done, no matter how difficult, of course, it is. And all thanks to Richel, taking a look at what we've seen already. So I think for me, after that AFCON, the Nigerian Football Federation or the National Sport Commission would have called the man and tried to negotiate, something with him. Let's have a plan. Let's build something. At this point in time, it's no moment where we have to hire and fire coaches. At this point, we always want that fire brigade approach. If the coach, if the boys are not passing well, we sack the coach. If they are not scoring, we sack the coach. If they are not defending, we sack the coach. Why don't we look out for means where we can build something? All right, and with Eric Chell, I believe the future is bright. With the Super Eagles of Nigeria, this is the time we have to take a look at, some of the African countries that are doing well today. Morocco is one of them. How many years has Walid, of course, has been with them? He's been with them for some years now. All right, so you can see that he has even got to that stage of building something very good with this Moroccan national team as well. So you could see. So for me, I think it's time for me to build. Eric Chell, you could see his movement now. He's going out to meet other players, to see how to get more players, of course, into the team at this point in time. And that's a coach that has vision. That's a coach that can possibly build a very good team for the national team. So for me, I think this is what they should have done. They should not allow what happened between the NFF and Yusuf Pesori to repeat itself. After taking the team to the AFCON final, I think that was enough, because Pesori came back and said, you have to increase my salary. But Eric Chell has not even said anything. Yes, we understand he's still under 1 year contract, as it stands. But looking at what he has done, I think at least if they can maybe give him more 2 years and see what, of course, he'll be able to do with the national team, all right, it will go a long way. The 2027 AFCON is next year, comes up next year. So I think if we can start now to build something with Richard, definitely we'll have a solid team that can challenge the very best here in Africa. We talk about Senegal, Morocco, and the rest of them. There used to be a time where the Super Eagles of Nigeria are always, very fearful. All right, you're being paired with them. You are afraid, but that fear factor has gone. We're not seeing it anymore with the team. But with what Eritrea is doing, I believe, of course, we can be that team. Once again, just a matter of time. I think for me, it is time for the NFF, for the National Sport Commission, to do the needful.
Time for the National Sport Commission and the Nigerian Football Federation to do the needful by handing Eric Chow a new contract, so that we can be sure that he's steady with the senior national team, especially now that other teams are also making advances for his services. We hear the likes of Tunisia and the rest, had already made a move to approach Eric Chow. See, talking about coaches, just a few hours ago we heard that the coach of Moroccan national team, Walid Regragui, has tendered his resignation as the head coach of the Moroccan national team. In the days to come, we were to go through that particular stories and get to the nitty-gritty of it. But away from that, let's talk about the Copa del Rey, as Atletico Madrid advanced to the last four of the Copa del Rey on Thursday with an emphatic 5-0 win at Real Betis, as new signing Lookman Ademola scored on his Roja Blanco debut. Diego Simeone's side joined the holders Barcelona, 2024 winners, to the quarter final. Kingsley, it was an impressive display. The highlight of that game was Lookman Ademola scoring and then providing assist. Scoring that score, or rather that goal, made it his 100 goals in all his career, and 51 assists. What do you make of his debut for the Atletico Madrid?
For me, I was very excited, seeing Ademola Lookman on the jersey of Atletico Madrid. I was very, very excited. It's a good improvement for the young man. If you look at it, Ademola Lookman has always been opting to play in a better team, alright, in a very good team. That's why, of course, you saw his negative body language in Atalanta. The man was no longer happy, especially when the issue came up where he missed a penalty and all of that. And I think the coach or the fans were talking, and he was not happy at all. He actually wanted to leave, and thank God he has been able to, of course, secure a better team, for himself. I think for me it's a good one, and scoring on your debut, I think is a very, very good impression, for the man. We just hope that, it will be a very impressive one, for Ademola Lookman in the Spanish La Liga. The Spanish La Liga is another tough, to say at this point in time. So if he can excel with Atletico Madrid, I think it will be a very huge one for him. 28 years of age, you will say age still by his side. He still has a lot to achieve, still has a lot to play for, and starting on a very impressive note down there in his new team is a good one for Ademola Lookman. Let's see what comes up. 100 goals, I tell you, is very impressive one, for the man. We just hope that he continues to achieve more down there at Atletico Madrid.
Alright, let's head straight and service on the top fixtures this weekend in Europe. Top 5 leagues, starting from the English Premier League tonight. Leeds United welcome Nottingham Forest by 9 p.m. Nigerian time. And tomorrow, being Saturday, Manchester United welcome Tottenham Hotspur, while Arsenal play host to Sunderland. Bournemouth will trade tackles against Aston Villa. Burnley will also host West Ham United. Fulham will be at home against Everton. And of course, Wolverhampton Wanderers, the relegation strugglers, will also play host to Chelsea Football Club. As Newcastle United will take on Brentford. Brighton and Hove Albion as well will be at home against Crystal Palace, while on Sunday, the big one is between Liverpool and Manchester City. Kingsley, this is the big game for the weekend. Liverpool, yes, will be welcoming Manchester City in a crunch tie. Who wins this one for you?
A lot to play for between both sides. Liverpool will be playing to finish very well, in the Premier League, table. Talking about title win, I don't think it's really there for them. But for Manchester City, who are just 6 points behind Arsenal, I think they want to do everything within their power to get to 3 points in their encounter, to see how they can close the gap between them and Arsenal Football Club. So for me, I see Liverpool winning that game. Honestly, I see Liverpool winning, because Manchester City, forget what they did against Newcastle. When they meet a very good side, I don't think they have what it takes, of course, to put up challenge. So for me, I think Liverpool have an edge in this one.
Liverpool have an edge in this one, and that will mean that Arsenal, if they get to win and Liverpool defeat Manchester City, Arsenal will extend their point lead over Man City to 9 points. That is only if Manchester City lose to Liverpool and Arsenal wins against Sunderland. In the La Liga, there are some top fixtures as well. Tonight we'll see Celta Vigo playing host to Osasuna. Tomorrow being Saturday, Rayo Vallecano will take on Real Oviedo. Barcelona will be up against Mallorca. Sevilla welcome Girona's Real Sociedad. We play Elche. Alaves will trade tackles against Getafe. Atletico Bilbao welcome Levante as Atletico Madrid will play host to Real Betis. Valencia will take on Real Madrid, and then Villarreal will trade tackles against Espanyol. And to the Italian Serie A tonight, Verona will play Pisa, and tomorrow Girona will play host to Napoli. Fiorentina against Torino. Bologna against Parma, while this will welcome Udinese. Sassuolo will welcome Inter Milan as Juventus will host Lazio. Atalanta play host to Cremonese. And the German Bundesliga, there are some fixtures as well tonight, as Union Berlin will be at home against Eintracht Frankfurt, while tomorrow Freiburg will play host to Werder Bremen as Mainz will welcome Augsburg. Wolfsburg will also trade tackles against Dortmund as St. Pauli welcome Stuttgart. Hedingham will play host to Hamburg as Mönchengladbach will trade tackles against Bayern Leverkusen. FC Cologne also be at home against RB Leipzig as Bayern Munich, the league leader, the Allianz Arena welcome Hoffenheim. And in the French League 1, there are some fixtures as well tonight, as Metz will be at home against Lille, and tomorrow being Saturday, Lens will host Rennes as Brest will trade tackles against Lorient. Nantes welcome Lyon as Nice play host to AS Monaco. Le Havre play Strasbourg as Auxerre will also play Paris FC. Angers will be up against Toulouse, who will be hoping not to lose that encounter. And a big one in the French League 1, we see the league leader Paris Saint-Germain welcoming Marseille. These are some of the top fixtures in the weekend across Europe top 5 leagues this weekend. Kingsley, we are running out of time. Your final word before we bounce out of the building.
I look forward to see how it goes. A lot of impressive fixtures this weekend. I think so many persons who want to put their eyes on the games in the Premier League, looking at how contending it is. Manchester United, can they continue their impressive run? Arsenal, can they extend their lead? For City, can they close the gap? So a whole lot to look at for, and we look forward to see how it goes.
Alright, this is where we drop the anchor for this weekend edition of the show. But don't worry, tomorrow morning we'll make a return for yet another sport personality. And by 6, of course, we'll make a return for Sport Extra, where we'll do well to articulate all the key highlights and all the key sporting gist that will come your way this weekend. But now, we are saying have a very beautiful night ahead.